Can there be AI faculty? No.
As a human being,
Yeah.
to keep students awake from sleeping, it takes me so much effort. I think AI will have to progress a lot,
Yeah.
to come there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the major misconceptions is that academia is really far away from what actually happens in the industry and
Sure.
the industry practices.
Before coming to ISB, what motivated about coming to ISB, Peter Lynch, I read.
Right.
All of them would bitch about MBA. They would
Right.
say bad things, but they've all done it.
Yeah,
I was thinking, they all done it. They hire MBAs and they say it is useless.
Yeah.
So when you first joined, did you have the same love for finance as you had now, or did you know that you wanted to do consulting or finance or marketing, or were you as sort of lost as we are?
Yeah.
Even more, I believe. I used to sell insurance policies.
So if your younger self
Yeah,
saw you now
yeah.
outside, he was peering inside this class and seeing you speak, what would surprise him the most?
That I'm writing papers and publishing and I've become an academic. I didn't want to.
Hi, Professor. Good
Hello.
evening.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for being here with us.
Thank you.
For our viewers, I would like to introduce Professor. Professor Prasanna Tantri is an Associate Professor of Finance and Executive Director of the Center for Analytical Finance at the Indian School of Business. His research focuses on banking, financial inclusion, regulation, and the interplay between politics and finance. Beyond academia, he serves as an independent director and the chair of the audit committee at Power Finance Corporation and has contributed his expertise to various technical groups constituted by SEBI and Niti Aayog. Thanks,
And
Professor.
That was a kind introduction.
And
Thank
also
you.
to the finance ministry, as in when they require his help.
But they only seek advice. I'm not sure they implement. I can't give a guarantee for that.
So, Prof, it's been sort of 14 odd years since you did your MBA at
Yeah,
ISB.
2011, yes.
So when you first joined, did you have the same love for finance as you had now, or did you know that you wanted to do consulting or finance or marketing, or were you as sort of lost as we are?
Yeah.
Even more, I believe. I used to sell insurance policies. So
Before you came to
yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was thinking what to do. Life is going on. Selling insurance. Let's
Yeah.
do something else. A friend of mine told me that there's something called ISP.
Yeah.
Apparently, it is very good. I had no idea. And then I used to follow markets like you.
Hmm.
So CNBC suddenly showed rank 20 something FT.
Right.
Then I realized FT thing works. I used to watch CNBC and I said FT must be. And then I figured out there was not easy Googling that time, if you
Right.
remember. And some newspapers and read that this must be good. Applied,
Right.
and they rejected first year.
Oh, so you
I
applied
had-
2010.
Yes, so I applied for 2010,
Yeah.
and this was very good. GMAT was quite good, not
Right.
bad at all, and they rejected.
Okay.
And then so they asked some random question, how do you value something? I don't know what I said, rejected. They again applied they took me in
2011.
In
2011. So I joined 2011 batch.
If you don't mind, what was your GMAT score?
Yeah.
750, I think.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Even
good.
in 2011,
Yeah,
750
that's
is
great
like...
score.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they rejected, but then again they took next year.
Okay.
GMAT was also fun. When I went to apply, write the exam, I didn't know that you need a passport.
Oh,
So the reason its score increased was because I got double preparation. Because I went for the exam day
And
thinking
then-
today I'll give, and they said you need a passport. I had not read it.
you went back home.
Then I had those times passport would take like 3-4 months to come. So you had to do police verification, and I was a student union leader and all of that. So
Okay.
police verification wasn't very smooth, and that's why it took. So you got so much more time to prepare.
Right.
So 2000, in fact, the whole thing started in 2009. So 1 year I delayed because of this GMAT fiasco. So next year these guys rejected, and the third year it happened. So it was a good story.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I'm guessing when you joined 2011, what was the batch size?
I think around slightly less than 500, I think.
Okay.
480, 500.
And
I
I'm
don't-
guessing at that time,
We didn't have
only
a-
the Hyderabad campus was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mohali was yet to start.
So when you started, who were your professors?
And the faculty didn't have to travel to teach to Mohali.
But so how was your experience with the faculty here at ISB then? And were you sure that I have done some kind of finance before, right?
Right.
Because you've done
I see
undergrad
the
also in
point.
finance.
Yeah.
Right.
So what was that like? So you join ISB after 3-4 interesting, GMAT and
Yeah, the first course was accounting. I had a cost accounting degree. First thought was,
This
why
is
should
too
you
easy.
pay so much to
Yeah.
do this, addition, subtraction, and all that?
Yeah.
But then I gradually realized, what more than course content,
Yeah.
it gives you a systematic way of thinking.
Right.
Because I was in business, was doing, selling insurance is like a self-employment only.
Of course.
It is like very hard thing to do. And I realized, every class when I heard something, marketing or any of things, I used to relate to what I used to do. And I realized I could have done things more systematically.
Right.
Would have achieved the same thing with slightly less effort.
Hmm.
Right? So I did find some value. If you ask me, what do you remember of marketing? Nothing maybe right now. But that systematic way of thinking, I would say. Right? So that way it was useful. That was the biggest use. You can think. And of course, then even you have this diverse set of students from all over the world, from army to, you have all kinds of people, lawyers to doctors to, and then the regular engineers are anyway there, half of the people. So this was very good that way. Yeah. So VITs and IITs and all of that time also. This was a good experience that way. And unlike many people who do now, because mine was totally borrowed, I had no money.
Right.
So that time fees was half of it is, of course, inflation adjusted, 21 lakhs or something.
Right.
So I even borrowed for living expenses.
Okay.
So therefore I remaining time I would spend in library, read.
Right.
And that's where I started reading about, how much there to read in coursework. There isn't much. One thing I don't subscribe to, which a lot of ISB students say, it's difficult, there is no time. And no, it's not.
Yeah.
It is reasonable, but it's not like, impossible, there is no time at all. I don't buy those arguments at all.
I think priorities.
Priorities are different, So I got a lot of time to read. The later journey happened mostly in this LRC. Where I started reading. So I picked up a book called Free to Choose by Milton Friedman.
Okay.
That was amazing. I started liking stuff, what he's saying. And that was, that was the best part. Class and then also reading outside.
So in your sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, so was it in ISB that you realized you're calling for finance, or did you always
I was always in
go for
finance in the sense, see, this is where I come from a village.
Yeah.
That was during our time, long before you were born.
Stone Age.
What I call as Stone Age. So the way we would, see, for instance, I would read newspapers from childhood. And obviously interested in politics and economics and whatever is going on, policy. I know Madhu Dandavate, did what and things like that.
Yeah.
But then I did not know that there are schools like Delhi School of Economics and ISI where you can specialize in economics. I thought if you are wanting finance, you should do commerce.
Right.
Got it.
Right? So I had, and if you had good marks in 10th standard, the biggest competition was that time to take PCMS.
Yes.
You get statistics and this biology is boring and medicine, so PCMS. So I had decent marks and the principal was telling, why don't you go to PCMS? I said, I want to do commerce. So that's the only thing I had in mind.
Right.
But then I quickly realized this commerce and what I want to do are different. This was accounting and business studies and things like that. Somehow, life went on.
Right.
So ISB was that turning point where I really started looking at trying to understand finance, and I got to read, and then I'm stuck here.
So actually during our class, Professor Kohli, who I think incidentally even taught you,
Yes.
still be teaching us.
Yes.
He brought in a guest lecturer. He was part of your batch. He's now at Bessemer VC, and I was just talking to him about you, and he said even then Professor Tantri was one of the sharpest people in the class. So
No, not sharpest. These guys would party every Thursday.
Okay.
So I was not doing that. Maybe that was one. So you will if I tell you life how it was that time versus now, you are under a lot of restrictions.
Oh.
Because there was this 08, there is still there I think.
Yes,
08
batch.
thing. Every Thursday, 08 launch.
Yeah.
Behind
every,
SV3.
Yeah, every Thursday, because this faculty housing was not there.
Okay.
So now you have to blame faculty. Every Thursday people are there.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know, it would go full day or, I would rarely go there. Maybe that was big difference. I would spend time in library. Yeah. So, yes. So, sorry, I cut you short.
No. So because finance again is very broad, right? You have the accounting finance, you have the high finance, which is your private equity. There's nothing high about it.
Sure. No, yeah.
Investment finance.
Yeah.
And asset management, and then there's the sell side. And then there is the wonderful stuff which you do, which is helping students learn, and obviously doing research.
Right.
So when you joined ISB, did you have an inclination towards research, or were you like us, wanted to have a corporate life?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to do trading. Okay. Because and you will appreciate what I'm saying. With trading, the best part is that you pay for your mistakes, and
Yeah.
it's like there is no, I would spend a lot of time reading about Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. One of before coming to ISB, what motivated about coming to ISB, Peter Lynch I read.
Right.
All of them would bitch about MBA. They would
Right.
say bad things, but they've all done it.
Yeah,
I was thinking, they all done it. They hire MBAs and they say it is useless.
Yeah.
So
Funny.
if they're
Very
useless,
funny. Yeah.
why is this? So I read about Warren Buffett. I read Ben Graham, obviously, Intelligent Investor, Security Analysis. So I was reading all of that. So that motivated. So my goal was to get into trading only.
But trading as in option trading, day and day trading? Or
Yeah,
like
day
high
trading.
frequency
High
trading.
frequency. Not very high frequency that time. Maybe pick up derivatives and do something.
Right.
Long short kind of trading strategies.
But not investing.
Not investing. Not this long term investing.
Okay.
In fact, we had a very good course by a professor called Vasanthar from NYU.
Right.
And in fact, I earned a lot of
Yeah.
my fees, so to say, from just following his trading strategies.
Right.
And the honest reason why I stayed back here ISB, I had other options, is someone told me that here there's not much work. So if you join some center, and there was a professor who was kind enough to hire me as associate director.
Okay.
And they said this is like sarkari type, and
Right.
there isn't much job, so you can do trading also. There's a lot of freedom.
Alright.
See, one good thing about ISB, right? Because faculty have all the freedom,
Yeah.
and that spills over to staff also.
Correct.
Right.
So when you're as a staff, you are not like a staff in another. Nobody tells you come at 9 o'clock or attendance. Nobody enforces it. The idea is, you are measured on output,
Yeah.
and you are responsible, and then you can use it the way you want.
Yeah.
So that was with that ulterior motive, if I may say, I joined ISB.
So I think you're selling yourself a bit short, because
Yeah.
Aayushi and I were talking about it. So we were talking that in ISB there are 3 sort of tenured profs, and of those 3 profs, I think over the course of 6 years you have to publish
Sure.
a certain number of reports.
Three
You have to publish 3 reports or 4 reports. I think you published 6.
In
No.
6 years.
That is after becoming faculty.
No,
See,
that-
that's a
No,
second life later.
Either way,
No, of course.
So the
I mean-
first one when I came, so this happened much later.
Yeah.
So why did I stick here immediately after? I think we are still in 2011. You moved to 2019.
No, I'm just
so
saying that
your audience will miss those 8
No,
years.
but see, over the course of 8 years that you've been here,
Yeah.
to be a tenor
No, I
professor-
said my motive. I said
Right.
motive. I came. I'm only talking about motive.
Yeah.
Motive was this.
So you're essentially saying people that be lazy, you'll do well in life.
No, I'm not saying. I was not lazy afterwards because I didn't want to be lazy. I wanted time to do trading.
No.
Now you join a consulting firm.
You
how
are
will
not
you
allowed
trade?
to.
And then you have all kinds of conflict of interest.
Yeah, of
You
course.
can't buy this stock. You can't
You
do
can't
this
buy-
stock and derivative.
But
Some signal. comes.
okay, 2011 to 2025 now.
Yeah.
Can you still make money in trading? Because Zerodha says 99.99% of traders don't make money.
Yeah.
I don't know because.
Do you still do?
No, I don't. I just invest now,
Okay.
and they're doing fine. Doing slightly better than market.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm not a trader. I can't answer that question.
So what happened?
But I can tell you some algorithm though. There are, in fact, Priyanshu is working on it, by the
Okay.
way.
Okay.
So there are many academic papers which talk about anomalies.
Right.
In the US, there is research which shows that once something gets published, it doesn't work. But I have tested several of those anomalies. Simple thing, I'll give you an example. Accrual anomaly. It seems so silly if I tell you it works. That all that you do is pick up firms with better than expected results, take their earnings analyst forecast, and all of them who outperform.
Right.
And within those who outperform, just sort them based on what proportion of the earnings is cash, what proportion is accruals that you
Right.
can pick up from any account.
Yeah.
Then do a long shot between them. It
Interesting.
works. It works. It used to work all over the world. It doesn't work there's a big industry which is published on this. There were hedge funds,
Yeah. Millennium and
which ran on this, but they don't. Those strategies don't work. But here they still work. I don't know how well it works now. I have not tested, but when 10 years ago it used to work really well.
Yeah.
So there are things that work. I don't think. But the problem, Prashanth, is if you go beyond the point with some scale, 1 crore, 2 crore, it may work. What if
100
you want to do
crores.
100 crore,
Yeah.
1000
Won't
crore?
work. Yeah.
Then maybe it's all, pharma's response to many of these anomalies is all liquidity.
Correct.
These are illiquid ones and you do something. The moment you start putting in serious money, this won't work.
Yeah.
So it may be good for a ISB student wanting to pay back his fees, but may not be good for a prospective hedge fund manager.
So if your younger self
Yeah.
saw you now,
Yeah.
outside. He
Right.
was peering inside this class and seeing you speak. What
Yeah.
would surprise him
The
the most?
That I'm writing papers and publishing and I've become an academic. I didn't want to be. So this was the goal. The idea was to build trading and go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I realized, then I joined this center. I should be thankful to God for joining this center, because there I had to sit in some meetings. Sometimes people say you do what you want and all that.
Right.
What I try to say, you never know what you want.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why sometimes now I'm a parent also. Parents sometimes force and some exposed, it's justified.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what is what is required.
What
So
is
this
right,
I was
yeah.
forced to sit in meetings, and I realized these guys are talking about research, and I was getting terribly bored. And mobiles didn't have fast internet also.
Back
What
then.
will you do, with this?
What do you do?
And then I said, might as well listen to what they're doing. They're talking about debt waiver. They're talking about behavioral finance. They're talking about this. And there was somebody talking about this 2008. There was a debt waiver.
Yeah.
And I thought I can also do this kind of stuff. Why do you need a PhD?
Yeah.
So then I went, and this is where insurance thing helped. As once you sell insurance, you can pretty much sell most of things. I just called up a bank's CMD software. We need data to do research.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where do you get data about
Yeah.
borrowers? The question was, how do farmers perform after debt waiver?
Okay.
Is there a moral hazard, or does it correct and their lives
It
go
helps
back to
the economy,
normal stuff? So,
Yeah.
and I read the notification, and there's the big problem with academic research is your identification needs to be very strong. You can't just say somebody repaid and all that. So I found out that there was a very nice rule in this 2008. You remember, you remember is not the right word. Have you read that in 2008 there was a massive debt waiver,
Yeah.
which was like 2% of GDP,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
like 1.75. So if I do something like 7 lakh crore today, imagine something like 7 lakh crore kind of
Yeah,
intervention.
yeah.
People don't realize the magnitude
100
of
million.
That's massive.
Odd.
yeah,
100
yeah.
billion,
So
yeah.
something, there's that kind of an intervention. So it is so massive, and you want to know what it did. The problem is, how do you say that it's because of waiver? Now, then I found that the rule was, if you had land holding up to 2 hectares, then you get 100%.
Okay.
Above 2 hectares, you get 25%, something like that. There was a discontinuity. And again, the beauty is, this was based on
Individual
your
ownership?
individual ownership. This was based on your ownership 2 months ago.
Okay.
It is not even that waiver and then you sell off land. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Right.
So unless you knew 2-3 months ago that this is coming, this kind of massive, you cannot manipulate.
Yeah.
Now I get, you think of a people who just 1.99 and 2.01, they're pretty much similar farmers.
Right.
One gets a massive waiver, this is like natural experiment.
Yeah.
This is as good as scientific as you can get.
Alright.
So I thought I can do this. Now the question is, where do you get the data from? Who has farmers' data? Then I called up a bank.
Okay. PSU Bank.
The PSU Bank.
Yeah.
PSU Bank's MD's office.
Okay.
Somebody lifted. I kept calling, kept mailing all PSU banks. One PSU bank, the MD gave an appointment.
Wow.
I said, I come from ISB, and I took a lot of academic papers. I made this pitch. Look, you give data to all these people who come from Harvard, Chicago, and all that,
Yeah.
and then you say nobody does research in India. So we here at ISB, we do similar research. You
Yeah.
never give us data.
Yeah.
So that sort of convinced him.
Yeah.
So he gave me this individual loan level
Unit
data.
level.
Individual level.
Wow.
Like if Prashanth
Wow.
is a farmer, entire from your application till
Wow.
how is the performance,
All data.
before and after. All data, all your loans.
Wow.
So that's the data I got. And then I wrote a paper without being formally trained. And the paper got published in a top journal.
Okay.
So then I realized I can do this.
Yeah.
Then I got enrolled into a PhD, and
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
life changed a lot. So
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's-
I mean, thanks to you, I think CAF organizes one of the biggest research.
not me, Shankar De. The person who founded this was Shankar De.
Right.
He's retired.
Yeah.
He started. He's the one who gave me this offer also.
The researchers from all over the world come here.
Yeah.
present
So
their
I just
papers.
continue. I'm
Right.
just continuing what he started with.
Yeah.
But this was the thing. So that's how this research happened.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
And then PhD and then faculty.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. And then so that I can bother you guys and give you tough exams. If that waiver was not there, this exam wouldn't have been.
No, I think I love SCR.
That would have been easier. That would have been easier. If the MD had not given data.
Yeah. Maybe I think we'll shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe talk about like your academic journey here a little bit more.
Sure.
So I think one question that everyone wanted to talk about was, what's one finance concepts that students often overrate or underestimate, and something you want students to know more about?
Yeah, you have to see, people don't have very good sense of cost of capital. Especially the third component, which is risk premium.
Yeah.
This thing keeps varying. People do not, based on macroeconomic conditions. Why do you have, for instance, I'll give a simple example. Why do you have credit booms and busts? And there's a very nice study recently published in a top journal called Review of Economic Studies. The problem is people become overconfident at times, entire system. The way regulators try to solve is impose capital restrictions and things like that. When in India last year, for instance, if you remember, on NBFC lending, they increased capital adequacy.
Yeah.
But what people don't appreciate is we as human beings sometimes tend to become overconfident, less appreciative of risk.
Yeah.
And whether you have capital, whether you have training, whether you know, whether you're a professor, whether you're pro, does not matter, because system becomes like that. Right? This is what we sort of, that's why we have cycles. The fact that we have cycles, one of the things like academics like us should play that counter-cyclical role.
Right.
We should also, but then we also go into that, 2008 crisis was that.
Yeah.
Even
We're very
academics.
optimistic with our
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think people don't appreciate that behavior plays a very important role, especially risk aversion coefficients change, valuation changes without any change in cash flows. Sometimes it becomes so ridiculous. Some of the companies, to get that valuation, everybody should be consuming their product. Only then that is possible. And then we still buy those kind of firms. So this is underappreciated, because when you're in that, when this kind of bubble, everybody plays along. It's like play as long as music is on.
Right.
And then this keeps repeating. It's not once, these cycles repeat. That generation goes, because 15, 20, 8 years, one round, every generation would see 2 of those maybe. The next generation comes, reads those books and does the same thing.
It has the same outcome.
And what is the other way around? What is something which people like overrate, that everyone should know this, and that's not something which is very
important?
For practice, it may not be important. Some knowing certain things in a mathematical sense. Someone told me, for instance, I'm from a commerce background. No way as much mathematically trained as some of the faculty here are. Although I'm picking up now. But then, understanding the concept, way I think is you should be able to visualize. You should be able to visualize when you say something, you should be able to see that in your mind and be able to create very simple examples without compromising the essence of what what it is. Now, trying to start from a formula
is not,
and knowing some terms, especially I think more superfluous I feel is throwing terms. Throwing terms, using some short forms and using formulae. I know Black-Scholes, Brownian motion.
I don't think anyone knows
I don't
Black-Scholes.
think anyone ever uses Black-Scholes.
No, fair enough. They do.
The people who made Black-Scholes went bankrupt. LTCM.
No, that is fine, LTCM. But then no, your implied volatility comes from Black-Scholes. It was useless. But the point I'm trying to make is, once you have a sense of what they're trying to say in Black-Scholes, what's the whole idea of risk neutral valuation? The whole idea is, look, your options are hedged. If you value as if things are hedged, so you have a sort of certainty in cash flows. And that's why risk-free rate is used. Once you use that, why that cannot be used elsewhere? So if you broadly understand, you can manage. Unless you are a mathematical, high algorithmic kind of trader. For them, it
that is required also, right? For I think for 99% of the stuff,
that is
I don't think it's enough, right?
That's enough.
Understanding
but at the same time, that is necessary also. What people don't appreciate. People think I'm FMCG, why should I know about options? Look, you're buying inputs from somewhere. You have currency exposure. You can't say I'm FMCG and I don't care. Tomorrow something goes wrong in that, or something may become cheaper and you may not know. Because or you may sign on something. The worst part is, then you become captive to CFOs, right? CFO will take you for a ride. You sign on anything and everything the guy says, and who is going to go to jail? So that's why I think it's, in a way, it is over appreciated in terms of its mathematical form, but it's underappreciated to a lot of people. I'm surprised to see why don't people take OPFR. If I were the czar here, I would make it mandatory. OPFR you have to take, because that's something different. If you're not from finance, other things you can pick up. If you imagine someone, and a lot of people are going to graduate without knowing what a call option is. What is a call? How can you graduate? Right? And that's, I think the mathematical sense is over-appreciated, in a sense people who know tend to think that, sort of oversell its use.
And I think there's a small majority which knows what a collar is.
Yeah.
So then everyone starts thinking that only these people know. So then becomes a
correct.
bigger
So
problem.
then they don't learn what is necessary,
Right.
which is very basic,
So I think this one of the major misconceptions is that academia is really far away from what actually happens in the industry and the industry practices. And I think one of the privileges that we have had is that you actually brought the real world to the classroom, and the learning was very seamless and it made sense to us, considering that we have come with a little bit of experience, right? So is there a certain concept or some sort of learning that we learn in the classroom that you apply sort of on a daily basis in the financial world, and which helps you make financial decisions in real life?
Yeah, of course, a lot of them. So, I'm very lucky that way. As you said, I got an opportunity to sit on the board of largest NBFC in the country.
Yeah.
So all RBI regulations, I teach Indian financial system. So anything, and if I get updated. Today I wrote an article on, I'll give you an example where academia and the practice can work. And in fact, RBI is receptive. I had a word with one of the regulators also. So the point is, they put in foreclosure charges. They banned foreclosure charges, right? This is a very practical issue. And the point is, I'm very sympathetic to their point of view that banks are sort of exploiting small borrowers, and they're not letting them. Tomorrow, let's say I borrow from you, and Prashanth comes out with a new loan, new offering at a lower interest rate. Then you put in foreclosure charge so that I don't go there, and it sort of deprives me of that opportunity. Now, what academic research can tell you is that, there are papers written by Raghuram Rajan and others, which actually show that some kind of a power, monopoly power for the banker is necessary to lend to small borrowers. You know why? Because small borrowers, lending to them is not straightforward. You have to do screening, you have to do, lot of fixed costs. It is not like you just pick up some report and you lend. You have to go, talk, you need a lot of human resources and so on and so forth. Now the problem is, all that fixed cost, if I charge you in 1 year, the interest becomes like 40%. If I charge you 40%, the only way you can repay is by gambling. That is moral hazard. In fact, I am sort of telling you to gamble and repay.
But wouldn't you want other NBFCs also to, like, let's say they're only PSUs lending to some of these small borrowers. Now, a lot of these small borrowers do not get access even to the PSUs. Let's say you have a cycle shop owner, he wants to open an adjacent cycle shop. He has to go to a local NBFC, right? So, wouldn't you want more people to come in to sort of get that interest rate lower?
No, absolutely, I want. So, I want a balance, but I'm just telling you that in the discussion that regulators have, this perspective itself is not there. Otherwise, what you're saying is a straightforward issue. A finance professor should have no problem with competition.
Exactly.
Finance professor should love competition. Should say that, look, let the market decide. Why do you want to protect this bank? I'm just giving you that academic perspective can also tell you that the problem is with these new people coming in, right? They will take away your existing borrowers. Now the problem is on them, you have unamortized expenses. Now this is the problem. You lose. Next time you will not go and fish for those new borrowers. Now, these borrowers are better off. I'll give you a practical example, right? You said where I use. In Power Finance Corporation is specialist in power projects. Now power projects have this time up to commissioning. When any power project, and this requires an engineering kind of expertise to assess this project, to say whether this will work or not, and the lender lends. Same problem. It requires a lot of expenditure, and you can't charge in the first few years because then the rates become so high that they will fail there only. Then the only way this contract can be complete is I am sure that you will be with me for 15 years. Now you can't have a bond like some companies do for 15 years. Foreclosure charge is one mechanism. Now what the government did was they started something called NABFIT. NABFIT stands for some bank for infrastructure financing, blah, blah, blah. And they gave them some money, some 10,000 crore. Now it has become 20,000 crore. And said you have to do infrastructure lending. The infrastructure lending cannot happen overnight. Because the finance minister gave money and stared asking, Dikhao, where is the lending? What did this guy do? He just went to all PFC, REC projects. 0.5% less, they do. Right? Everybody moved. Because that time PFC, REC were effective monopolies, didn't bother putting all these conditions. A lot of people moved. This guy had like a lot of projects. Now, what is PFC? What will PFC? How will PFC respond? We'll now say that, look, okay, this is the game you're playing. Now I will divide my loan into two phases. One is pre-construction, pre-installment or post.
Yeah.
Pre-construction, I'll charge you whatever I want because I'm a monopoly. You're an app, it cannot compete.
Yeah.
Right? And then uske baad anyway I have to compete. I know that after that it's going to be 8%, 9%, SBI is coming, everybody is coming.
Yeah.
This will hurt lending because a lot of people will not be able to pay this. That means I will not make these loans.
Yeah.
So these are points. If let's say you're a policy maker, I can convince a policy maker. I can make this point to anyone because of academic background. This is the kind of research we do.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you read my article, I have also said there are a lot of things they've asked for transparency, which is fine. Do it.
Yeah.
You're not saying make it in an unfair manner, and that's where my research also comes in.
Right.
And I've cited my paper also. So that way, ISB is so unique. People like us are so lucky, especially faculty here, because sitting in India. Imagine you're in the US, to be able to talk to Prime Minister's office or RBI governor, you have to be maybe a Nobel laureate.
Right.
Nobody else, there's so many Nobel laureates who will talk to some random professor somewhere. Here we get that opportunity. Even in industry, we get to speak to top people and have an impact. And then some of us get these opportunities like board appointments and all that. So this is that's why classroom and what you do align very, very well.
Yeah.
And that's why the learning experience hopefully becomes better. That you have to say. I don't know.
No, definitely it is.
So,
So, I mean, as just continuing on what you said, right? So, as you said now, when you write your research papers and how the world is evolving, I should not say this, but a lot of students also use ChatGPT and other AI tools to make their assignments and refine their assignments, make their assignments.
Yes.
I'm guessing how has that impacted your research process? Has it helped you? Is it a tool which you extensively use, or will it become a crutch for you or other researchers at a point where, essentially, can it be replicated? Can the input which you give be replicated by AI machine? And what does that mean for the future of research in finance in general?
No, so right now we're at a stage where it's incredibly useful.
Yeah.
Right now we're at that stage.
Yeah.
I don't know about future. You guys know technology better than I do. I shouldn't be telling you about technology.
Right.
I have no understanding of technology, where it is
going.
No,
but from your perspective.
So far it's been very useful in the sense what would take 2 days is happening, I just tell it and it will generate a code and create and run.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's very useful. It is not come to a level where it is competing with me so far. Right? It's a tool. I really like it. For instance, any of these, you want to do a research summary of what's happened in that area.
Yeah.
Imagine searching during our time. You will not believe it had to go to some place physically search. I have come from that era. From there to Google to this. It's
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's useful so far.
Yeah.
So far, I don't see even students. Right? You can create questions in such a manner that, despite that, they will have to think through. Of course, then it puts pressure on faculty also to create those questions where directly ChatGPT answers. Then
don't make
such questions. Yeah. Then your bar is also going to increase, which is good. I don't see so far. I think I don't see anything.
But I'm guessing there are some roles which are very ripe for disruption, and some which aren't. Right. So when a lot of people come to ISB, they have certain goals that, some people want to go to consulting, some people want to go into core marketing, some people want to do investment banking, private equity. Out of these 4, 5 roles which I mentioned, which do you think is very subject to disruption? Which is something which you believe will stay even if AI comes in? And
I think any role, for instance, all that, if you're doing some repetitive stuff and giving information,
right.
A lot of people spend time just beautifying and PPT slides and giving just the information and just doing what the CEO wants you to do.
Right.
Those you CEOs will get it done at a cheaper price. You don't need, but if you're really adding value, you're bringing your own experience, customized stuff. I think those things, and then creativity.
Can there be AI faculty? No.
There I don't know. I don't study what's the research going on.
But you don't think it's a competition for you
at this moment? It could be in future. We should appreciate. We cannot make this cheap thing, right? Earlier, otherwise I would have said, no, people like me, we have seen more life than you, and I can say a lot of things. When computer came, people said nobody will have a job, but still jobs increase. AI is different.
Yeah.
Right? This is not.
This is something game.
This is we have to appreciate that we can't be that complacent.
Right.
That pehle hua tha, abhi bhi hoga. This guy is slightly different because it is thinking. So far, nobody was thinking. So that's why I'm very careful to say so far. I don't see any threat to those who do creative stuff.
But we do have an AI faculty of sorts, right? We have Mr. Mohan who taught us IDTF, Introduction to FinTech. And he did his PhD in AI back in 1990s. And he said, suddenly I'm really in demand at the end of my career. Now
but then...
No. By AI faculty means an AI teaching us.
Okay.
Which is possible, but look, as a human being, to keep students awake from sleeping, it takes me so much effort. I think AI will have to progress a lot, to come there. It'll take some time.
There are nuances that...
So, how do I know?
AI can't make those. AI
can't joke like that.
So it takes a lot of effort. So, so I don't know. So, but I can't say anything about future. But as of now, I think ISB, if somebody has a caliber of studying here and they're creative, I don't think they should see it as a threat. Right. In fact, they should see it as an opportunity to do better job.
A tool they can learn.
Yeah, a tool they can learn and do, deliver more at the same time.
Right.
So when you deliver more, there will be more of them. So this idea, one thing I'll tell you, there isn't shortage of tasks to do. You do more and somebody, in fact, one thing I should tell you, in 1830, there was a discussion that they should close patents office. We have discovered whatever
everything
we have to
is
discover.
done.
Everything is done. What do you do with patents?
In India? Or
No, it's somewhere.
I read this somewhere.
After Industrial Revolution or something. They said everything is done. What else you discover? So we never know what is coming. So that way I'm hopeful.
Yeah, but then I think then what happened was that they continued the patents thing back in US in starting of the 20th century.
Right.
And then there was a flurry of patents.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what. So we never know what is coming.
Yeah.
So.
But do you think the syllabus will change? I'm guessing there are some things which will always be constant, right?
Sure.
CAPM model, Modigliani model,
yeah.
right? Some of these are everlasting.
Right.
But let's say 20, 30 years down the line, where there'll be so many, I don't know, that's why I'm asking you.
Right.
Do you think there'll be certain things which will be obsolete?
I think so. I think this university system also, this has to change right now, and it's with a lot of responsibility I'm saying, and a bit sad also. A lot of universities are signaling. I'm not sure whether I am adding value at all in class. The only reason maybe ISB or many institutions work is that a recruiter wants to hire someone who is willing to put in those 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. And how do you test that?
ISB and
these guys have come
there.
here, they have written GMAT. That means, this signaling, for let's say you have good quality and bad quality. For a bad quality person, writing GMAT, being persistent
much more difficult.
is much more difficult than the same lemon thing. It's a separating thing.
Right.
And then you do so many assignments. Now the course is over. Again, you have to do an exam. So at least you get up, show up. If that is a use, I am sure a lot of these will go away.
Right.
Because then I'm sure markets will figure out a better way of assessing with technology.
Right.
Then why to have all these paraphernalia and waste resources? So we have to come into a way where we genuinely add value. Like a consultant may have to solve problems rather than just suggesting. Even the faculty will be, I think, assessed on if you come to the class before and you left my class, what is that delta that you gained and why it is useful to you. I think we should go there. That's my hope. I think we will go there because I see now even outside, a lot of universities are losing students. Universities are shrinking business now, not a growing business. And people are questioning this. Why should we pay for all of these paraphernalia?
This
what
was
are we
supposed to
learning?
be a marketing material for
right?
ISB.
So people are questioning this. I think for ISB this is an advantage. It's not a disadvantage because ISB, as I said, has faculty who can deliver real world stuff and which can be useful to students. And that's why the whole idea of introducing block weeks. This was the first year, so you may not be very happy.
Our audience doesn't know what block weeks is.
Yeah, the whole idea was, again, this was the first year. Don't go by your experience. I don't know.
No, we actually loved it.
I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So instead of having an entire term, we actually cut the term into 3 different block weeks, and for the entire week, we've been taught one subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was, how do you get these busy people?
Yeah.
How do you get these real world people? See, there's the other problem, right? In the name of real world, you get someone who's free. Then you know the quality that will come. So you want people who are not free, right? That is.
So the best part is to call them for a week.
Yeah, and then the 5 weeks becomes 6 weeks becomes a big constraint.
Yeah,
if somebody is available for 6 weeks,
that's also a concern.
That's also a concern.
That's a concern. So then this is it's not ISB's invention though. It's there everywhere. But they changed the curriculum. They brought in this block week idea, where some person who cannot do 6 weeks, it could be a star faculty,
Right.
it could be a practitioner, would come and teach
Yeah.
one course in a week and be done with it. Students can focus with that and then learn that. So that is one change that ISB did.
Right.
So right now this change is happening.
But also, just before we go on to the next topic, so our MBA is a 1-year program, right? You also have the new BIL program, which is sort of the 24 month sort program. Now, what essentially happens is that the 1-year students slightly feel disadvantaged because it's such an accelerated, everything is taught in a very accelerated way.
Sure.
That's not the case for a 2-year program.
Right.
So when someone applies to ISB, right, let's say they can choose between both of them. What do you think? On what basis should they choose? Especially if they want to make a career in finance, they want to learn more about finance. Do you think first ISB is the right choice? And second, if they had the opportunity to choose either the 1-year MBA or the 20-month program, 24 month, what would you recommend?
Yeah, there are multiple questions here. First, let me take the difficult question of finance.
Yeah.
And here, of course, you should say I have a conflict of interest. I want finance to come here so that I can teach some people.
Yeah.
But I have figured out a way of getting non-finance and teaching them finance. No. So if your goal is learning finance, I think this is one of the better places in the country.
Yeah.
There are better people, people who do serious research here. We get practitioners also.
Yeah.
The only problem with the 1-year thing, in finance you need internship.
Yeah.
So in 1 year, 1 year course, 1 year whole structure, you cannot have internship.
Yeah.
And that is why immediate placement in finance sometimes becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
But if you look at lifetime, my batch for instance, there are good 20-25% are in finance.
Yeah.
They somehow figure out a way of getting into finance 2-3 years down the line. So that's if you have this way of assessing throughout your life, this is not a bad school even in a 1-year thing.
Yeah.
Now the second question of how do I decide between 1 year and 2 year? Why is this 1 year? Why is it 2 year? We should get into that.
Right.
This is 1 year because people have experience.
Yeah.
So I don't need to tell you how organizations work, some basics, teams and things like that.
Yeah.
You've seen a team,
Yeah.
you've seen some organizational politics, you've seen suffered or benefited or whatever.
Right.
You've also been on both sides. So a lot of things that a fresher requires, this 1 year guy does not require.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So that is the whole idea of this 1 year. That is why, taking you to some factory shop floor for 2 days, not necessary. You live there for 3 years, right? 4 years. And you won't get excited, oh, this is office, oh, this is manager. You lived that world.
Yeah.
So that is how we shrink that 2 years to 1 year. It is not that there is any reduction in what is taught. In fact, classroom discussion in 1 year is super rich. Because you have these people with all kinds of experience, and in fact, a lot of people contradict professor. I've seen in a lot of courses. Look, I had a similar case, and that's not how it was. Right? So if you have some experience, of course, if you're less than 2, you don't have a choice. But if you have some experience, 1 year is better.
Right.
Even finance, because the only thing because in the interest of full disclosure, I don't want to just sell for the sake of selling, that initially because lack of internship may create some trouble in getting a job right out of campus. It's not that it's zero, but it's not like consulting or other areas. But in the long run, it's going to be good. But if you're someone who has no experience, it's better to have this new one, which I joke as IPL. I seriously, now I remember YLP because it was a big challenge.
I think we have now been saying IPL. I really have been saying IPL.
IPL is a good short form.
Yeah.
So this whole in between that we're saying mixing both kind of people wasn't a great idea. I think now those people who are new. So they will learn that way, and they will also have internship to compensate. Some of the extra time is because of internship.
Right.
And it's 20 months. It's not as if it is like 3 times the time. So it's a 20-month course. And
8 more months.
8 more months, and so there
with 3 months will be or 2 months will be
internship, and maybe there will be more gap between terms, and go slow, normal pace, and younger people they'll party more maybe. I have no idea. So they will have their other extracurricular stuff more than So maybe that's how it is to be. So I think decision point is if the cohort makes a difference. But if you're on the verge,
then
if you're done enough, maybe if the quality of students again, how will these two students I think will differ. If you're quant, mathematics, academic, maybe these younger ones will do better. But in real world, when you're decision making, it's not that optimizing at small,
Yeah.
epsilon level doesn't work.
Yeah.
You don't optimize at an epsilon level.
Yeah.
Maybe you do in operations some, but then you have consultants who will do it for you.
Yeah.
But when you take big picture call, epsilon is absent.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
epsilon
Yeah.
there. It's mostly directional call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This direction or that direction. I think
Yeah.
there you will benefit if you have, someone you'll not believe. In Mohali, there's a faculty member called Aditya Kolekar
Okay.
who teaches there. He's coming
Right.
here, and he introduced me to a army colonel who's a student.
Okay.
And
Oh.
he explained the kind of ambush he was involved and what kind
Real
of
world
The
problem.
real
ladies
world.
left,
Imagine
yeah.
some strategy risk.
Yeah.
He explains in class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you will not get in this younger cohort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you have to choose what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there is a common alumni network. One
Yeah.
of the best thing about ISB
Is the
is the alumni network.
Actually, to
Yeah.
your point,
Yeah.
there's a huge percentage of the ISB alumni that's actually in finance, because when I was
Yes.
preparing myself, and
Yes.
if I had to reach out to an
Yes.
alum
Yes.
to help me,
Yes.
there's no finance company where I did not find an ISB
Absolutely.
alumni.
Absolutely.
And
So
it
they
really
somehow
helped.
figure out a way
They
to
somehow-
reach. I don't want to claim credit for it,
Yeah.
but somehow they figure out a way to reach, and
Yeah.
there are enough number of them.
Yeah.
So in terms of training, it is good enough,
Yeah.
but the structure is such that
Yeah.
we have not been able to crack
Yeah.
big time in this 1 year course.
Right. So yeah, I think the next thing we wanted to talk about was the India's growth story.
Sure.
So we know that you've been working with a lot of major institutions in India, the
Sure.
RBI, the
Sure.
government,
Sure.
with the SEBI.
Sure.
What do you think that the world's still not understanding or factoring in about the Indian markets? I think a couple of weeks back had Mark Stewart here,
Yeah.
and we asked him the same question. So we would like to have your opinion.
I think our potential is much more than what we think, because I'll take you back, because I'm one of the few in this room born before 90s, right? So I was in the school, you should have seen how we were in the 90s. This was dubbed as Hindu rate of growth. You never grow more than 3%, because you are not bothered about the real world. You are thinking about the other world, and this is what a lot of people, nowadays it would be racism, but that is how it was
Of
called,
course, yeah.
because potential was always underappreciated.
Right.
And the 91 reform, which was under force, actually unleashed.
Yeah.
The world is very different. I'll tell you, you can talk to your parents. For a telephone connection, you had to wait for like 6 years.
Yeah.
For Bajaj scooter was a prized possession that anybody would have. And, and that you had to tilt and start.
Yeah.
You can ask your parents, ask them the first scooter you had to tilt.
Yeah.
And nobody thought we will be where we are. And if you see 30 years from 90s, how the economy has changed, which tells me that if you let free enterprise prosper without restrictions, I think the potential is far more than what we're thinking. So we need not wait for a crisis. The problem is we wait for a crisis for reform.
Yeah.
Voluntary reform, things like farm law, for instance, it's I'll tell you will not believe, and I tried speaking to some protesters also, that there was one of the laws which is very controversial, which farmers are opposing. You will not even believe. It was a option given to the farmer, which think like you studied option, right? The farmer is buying an option
Yeah.
and without paying any premium.
So it's a free
And
option.
free option, right? And for the other side, who was buyer of that product, it was binding. So which means if the price moved against the farmer, farmer could have sold.
Could not exercise.
They just leave and normally at least there's a sunk cost of premium
Right.
in option.
Right.
Here you don't pay anything.
It's free.
Just an agreement,
Right.
And you can walk away.
Yeah.
So if this was the law, I never understood why people protested, right? And it had to be taken back.
Yeah.
So if we sort of think in terms of reforms and long term, I think if don't wait for crisis for reforms, and people have this if people can see how we have progressed over 30 years, a lot of people have this romanticized version of the past.
Yeah.
Just go them and ask them to live in the past. I have lived in a world when I was born, we didn't have toilets at all.
Yeah.
We didn't have toilets.
Yeah.
I used to go to government school, no chappal. This is how it was.
Yeah.
And those who romanticize past, you should send them through that world and let them go and live in that.
So there's actually a joke which Ronald Reagan used to make about communist Russia.
Right.
So one guy went and said, I want to buy a car. So he said, you'll get a car after 5 years. He's like, but what time will I get it? He's like, what time? It's coming after 5 years. Like, no, you tell me. I don't know. Like, no, because the plumber, I have to tell the plumber what time the car is coming, right? Because the plumber is going to come after 5 years.
Right.
So at that time, I'm guessing this is the early, before
Yeah, yeah.
liberalization, 80s,
Yeah,
70s.
yeah.
I think it was really,
I have not seen the 70s. I
Yeah.
was born later, but then I've heard about 70s.
Yeah.
My father would say that there was quota
Yeah.
in a marriage function. You can invite only so many people.
Yeah.
Because rice was not there.
Right.
There's only so much you can spend.
Yeah.
There's only this is how people lived.
Yeah.
Your
80
grandparents.
years ago, we didn't have hot water.
Yeah, so
Whenever we wanted.
since I'm giving a negative answer to your positive question, what I'm saying is if we are let free,
Yeah.
like when we go abroad we succeed.
Yeah.
See, the one argument for people who succeed abroad in India, an academician like me would say, look, that's a selected sample.
Yeah.
It's not representative. The best people have gone there.
Yeah.
And the best people from any country would do well.
Yeah.
But then you have to answer why best people of India do
Are
better
even
than
going
other
there.
best people of other
Right.
countries also.
Yeah.
They do better than, they are the most successful.
Yeah.
If you create those situation here, the same competitive merit-based situation here, I think people will do well here also. ISB is one example.
Right.
ISB is an example where sitting in India, we
Yeah.
are how much ever we can mock those ranks is that they do, but we are not bad.
Yeah.
So that is the potential. I think
Right.
we still don't know that left to ourselves totally free.
Where
How
will
much? What will be our potential?
Yeah.
We still have a lot of restrictions to do business and so on.
So, which sectors do you think are under the radar in the country and are basically gold mines in the making, and we can look at?
I think anything to do with skill development. See, if you don't develop skills, you can forget it. All these Viksit Bharat and all make no sense. The sad part is, and I blame finance people like you here, we talk about 2047, then we talk about interest rate, recession. These are all business cycle issues.
There has to be a real
Right?
business.
Yeah,
Industries
so
have to be built.
2047 will be, saving, skill, investments. These
Yeah.
are things that we should talk about, right? So skill, anything which is to do with skill. I know that this Educom flopped last year.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Yeah.
When you do too much in a very short period of time, things happen.
Right.
But I think there is tremendous value to anything which is something connected with skill development. I'll give an example. A friend of mine who told me, who was here, I don't know the numbers and I trust him. He's my batchmate, he keeps coming, he's an entrepreneur. He went to McKinsey, and just for your ISB people to get credibility, he went to McKinsey from here. He was telling me that, look, there are 100,000 trained chemists in China, and the number in India is 5,000.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
the demand is
20,
such that people want to sort of diversify. Demand is such that clients are willing to pay by the hour, like IT was in the 90s,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you don't, there is no production
Yeah.
of high quality.
Yeah.
So if we invest in production of high quality resources, and I think that will be biggest game changer. If you ask me one thing, we have to make our people more skilled.
So actually, I had to cover the chemical sector
Right.
before I came here, and I think chemical sector, which is very very under penetrated. So I was just looking at China and India. China has a gross block of assets of around $800 billion. India is $10 billion. So
That's
it
the
is
gap.
absolutely
Absolutely.
insane, right?
Yes.
But again, coming on this, what is something which India needs to do to make sure that there is skill development? One, obviously, you need to get better education, especially
Education,
at the
right? Education, the problem is, the biggest roadblock there, we somehow think it is money and resources and all. No, it's
Right.
teacher accountability. We don't have teacher accountability. From
That's
primary
true.
to high school, we write all these fancy stuff that आठवीं का बच्चा चौथी का मैथ्स नहीं कर पाता and all of that report.
Yeah.
Things are improving a little bit, but the question is then why is that teacher still having a job?
Yeah.
If you're not
Yeah.
able to teach, and there it's unionization, all of these come.
right.
If you're not able to tackle that, I don't see a way we are going to be developed if we cannot address teacher accountability. The new education policy and all of that are great, but they don't address teacher accountability.
Right.
If teachers don't show up in class, see, MBA we can debate whether I am useful to you or not. I am willing to debate.
Right.
I may not be useful,
Yeah.
but whether a third standard teacher is useful, there's no debate.
Yeah, he has to be useful. Yeah.
He will be. There is very clear data which shows that from at least first to seventh standard,
It is
Yeah.
very
every
important.
year of schooling adds so much to your GDP.
Right.
That is undisputed. It's like science.
Right.
You can actually do an experiment and prove.
Yeah.
Whether after 12th standard what you do adds value or not, we're still discussing.
Right.
But up to first 10 years, 12 years, is tremendous. That is where we do a terrible job.
Correct.
Go to government schools today, it's terrible, even today.
But
So-
if you look at a developing economy like China or Indonesia, they have somehow risen through this, right? What did they do which...
I have not studied carefully. China, the problem is the moment you say anything about China, right? They'll say it's authoritarian, you
Yeah.
can't do it. And,
But, I
you know,
mean-
that's the usual reply.
Yeah.
But then you forget it. Then my response would be that then you forget it. If everything you bring in democracy.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to, somebody will have to be able to give up some political capital here.
Right.
Of course, teacher union will protest.
Yeah.
Of course, they won't like. If the dean makes me work more, I won't like it. For sure. Despite whatever I'm talking, right? I won't like it.
Yeah.
But somebody has to be able to spend their political capital for the sake of. Otherwise, I don't see. Otherwise, the only way we reform is there should be such a crisis
That
you
it
don't have an
forces
option.
everyone into...
Like Sri Lanka had to reform.
Right.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
People started coming to president's house and throwing stones. And what do you do?
Yeah.
91 was kind of that.
Yeah.
We didn't have money to pay for oil bills. Then you had to agree on reforms.
Yeah.
So my hope is, unless we tackle this, skill development and especially the primary education, health also is important, but this is even more important in my view.
So basically, don't wait for a crisis.
Don't wait for a crisis. So,
Yeah.
having said that, there is this report, this Pratham NGO that releases, I forget the name of the report, which says that there's some improvement. One big fear was, after COVID, things will be terrible because children did not go to school. But it's not that bad, apparently.
Yeah.
So, there's some improvement, but a lot needs to be done. I think if we are thinking of long-term growth, that is where our focus should be.
Right.
It is not even you, it's the one who's now in school, they're going to create it.
Yeah. True.
You're going to boss over them.
So I think we have entered the last part of our...
Now I'm nervous, I'm surprised.
Yeah, this is the rapid fire round.
Yes.
So we'll ask...
Everything was a rapid fire.
This is even faster.
It's even faster.
And you just have to give like a one sentence or a one word reply.
Okay.
Okay. So
That's very hard.
we'll alternate.
Sure.
Yeah.
So one financial term of one finance term which you secretly hate.
Black Scholes.
If finance were a movie, which one would it be?
I watched very few movies recently. Finance for a movie.
Finance or a song, finance or a book,
movie.
finance or a movie.
Yeah. Something you associate finance with.
This is a difficult question.
Will help you. I think you showed us a clip from Margin Call in our
Yeah,
class.
no, but that's not. I'm not able to relate to this question. What movie? It's something rational. None of the movies is rational and
Yeah.
logical. What
Which is finance, Finance is also not a rational.
I mean,
yeah,
valuation
that is
is-
true. There is some sense of. I'll skip this.
Okay.
Yeah.
A quote you live by. It may be finance, it may not finance. Something which...
Only when the tide goes away, you know who is swimming naked. Warren Buffett.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this always happens.
Yeah.
When things boom, everybody is doing well, and this is what I was talking to.
Yeah.
Right. A financial concept you would explain differently if textbooks allowed memes or jokes.
So how it's not finance, it's macro. How economy grows. People have this misconception that consumption creates growth in the long run. It doesn't.
Right.
So I would actually create a game or something in a village economy and make people act. If I was allowed to make them work and show how GDP grows.
Right.
One ISB memory of yours which you will never forget as a student. One as a student, one as a faculty.
Yeah.
As a student, I think Vasandar's course.
Okay.
When I put in the data, he did it for US. I put in Indian data,
And
it's giving a crazy sharp ratio.
Hmm.
That's I remember it's how is it working?
It was like a mind-blowing moment.
Mind blowing of it, and it works so well. That is one as a student. As a faculty, multiple moments. It happens every year. What gives a lot of energy to faculty. That is why sleeping is a bad thing when students. Those you observe with this. When I see people's eyes expanding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that gives immense satisfaction.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you realize that
Something
the
is
person is thinking, clicking.
Yeah.
I'm saying something, the person is saying, oh, this is how I was thinking. Now it's different. That gives, I can't explain how much satisfaction it gives.
Yeah.
And then they, in feedback, they write all kinds of stuff. That's okay. Somebody wrote, this was like a comedy show and a bad one.
Oh my God.
Initially, when I started.
I doubt that there's any bad feedback
The first year, after that, thank God it's not that bad. First year when somebody told me you have to joke. So I prepared a list of jokes. And I would try to fit jokes. There's a joke and in between some...
There's content.
Yeah, somebody...
I remember we had a joke in our exam. So there's a question and a bracket with 3 lines, there's a joke.
Those... See, anything that comes naturally when you're talking, that works. Prepared jokes never
work.
That is something that I learned. No, but when I see eyes expanding, that is the most satisfying moment.
Right.
And obviously in appraisal when Dean says hike is so much, that's also.
Lovely. I think this is it from our end for today. But I'm sure we have like a million more questions to ask.
Yeah, so thank you. There's so many students who've come and learn from you, and hopefully a lot of you will still keep teaching INFS, and a lot of students will get the privilege of learning from you. So I think
privilege or pain, I have no idea, but
definitely a privilege. Yeah.
So if you had 30 seconds, so I'm guessing there are a lot of students who want to join ISB, who have written their applications or are in the process of writing their applications. If you had 30 seconds to speak to any future student, what would it be? It doesn't have to be...
Don't focus too much on first the immediate placement, not because we want to run away from responsibility. What ISB changes is the trajectory. Right. People don't realize that sometimes when you change a slope, it can be lower base also. You see, when you tilt something, it's when you tilt you may start from a lower base. What they don't realize is the slope is high.
Correct.
If you had not come here, the slope would have been maybe going down. That's what ISB does on an average. So do not worry so much about you're in a decent place as of now. Do not worry so much about that first year placement. And don't go by this FOMO thing. Don't do anything for FOMO. That's the worst thing to do. And you are one example who didn't go by FOMO. It's like it. But don't go do FOMO. I didn't sit for day one and all of that. I was going for something else. So it doesn't hurt. And it didn't hurt me at all. So these 2 things I would say.
Well, thank you,
Lovely.
Prof. Thank you, Aayushi, for the insights and for the jokes and for making us, rethink about finance.
Yeah.
I had learned about finance. Even she has a sort of background in finance, but I think we had a lot of, eye-opening moments in class. So thank you again, and hopefully we'll get to interact post ISB in some shape or form.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.